Neon lights were used to advertise everything from retail stores to tourist courts, especially from the 1920s to the early 60s. Not so much these days because of newer technologies. Well, take heart. Susan Watson found a place down in Columbia where she saw signs of a neon comeback.
When the first neon sign in America went up in 1923, people stopped and stared in wonder at the words written in what some poetically called liquid fire.
By the 1950s, neon lit up the highways and main streets of America from LA to New York. Now, Columbia Neon had its beginnings way back in 1934, but today they're as busy as ever, making signs that use not only the latest technology, but time-tested techniques as well.
We got two sheet metal men over here that have been with us for years, and they can build them all the way from the old historic type sign to the modern sign. So they physically built the sheet metal, built the sign itself, installed the steel in it, then they installed the transformers inside of it, and now they're putting the housings on it, they put the neon on it, then we'll take it and install the sign ourselves. We do all the work ourselves. We all wear several hats around here.
Charles Stoffel was hired in 1960 as a painter in the spray department and worked his way up, eventually buying Columbia Neon from the original owners. He's seen a lot of changes in his 50-plus years here, working with signs made from neon to fluorescent to LED. Charles and his staff of 19 change with the times and can do it all. From design to finished product.
Well, when I came in 1960, our outdoor signs were primarily neon signs. Then later on, probably 65 or so, we started building plastic signs, plastic face signs. The neon signs are, more labor intense and usually cost more, so a lot of people went with the plastic signs due to the expense of them. But now a lot of people have found out that the neon signs hold up longer in some cases and are more of a historic type sign, and we built a lot of neon signs and reconditioned a lot of neon signs. Columbia Neon actually built the Crockett Theater, marquee and all in 1950. That was before my time. The city of Lawrenceburg bought the Crockett Theater, so they contacted us and wanted to restore the sign. And we restored the sign back just like it was back in the 50s. And it turned out real good, so they've really got a classic in Lawrenceburg.
A look around the cavernous shop reveals a time capsule of sorts with all manner of signage, showcasing local businesses and the evolution of advertising trends. But more importantly, to Charles Stoffel, it represents his connection with the past, his community, and the people he has known as customers and friends.
We try to hold on to a lot of local history. A lot of the local people enjoy coming over and looking over the old history.
Columbia Neon made 3 different signs over the years for a jewelry store in nearby Mount Pleasant, and Charles himself sold Mr. Petty the 3rd sign in the mid-70s.
Several years later, he called me and said that he and his wife were going to retire and he was going to close the store, and wanted to know if I wanted his old sign. And I told him I sure would like to have it, Mr. Petty. So he said, "Well, you come down and take it down, Charles. I'm going to give it to you." So I went down, took it down, and while I was there, said, "I've got 2 other signs in the basement. Would you like to have those?" And I said, "I sure would." So he gave me his other 2 signs. Felt real close to them. There, they were just good people. We got that full history here in signs.
The Rivers family has a history with Columbia Neon, too. David Rivers is the 2nd generation with the skill to bend glass into any shape, number, or letter needed.
My dad did work for Columbia Neon back in the early 50s. I've been doing this since 1985, so I believe that'll be 32 years now. It's an old family tradition, I guess you could say. The method of bending is still the same. There's been a few changes in the way that we fill the tubes with gas, and the way patterns are made for neon has changed a little bit as well. Here at Columbia Neon, they had a man named Mr. Lewis that hand drew those patterns. Now the designs are emailed to me, and I take a plotter machine and I make the patterns myself. It has changed a little bit as far as that respect goes, but basically we're still doing things pretty much the way they've been done for the past 70 years.
The adage, "what's old is new again," can certainly be applied to advertising, as the Rusty Spur sign attests to. But sometimes what's old can be made new again, and that is something that David is very proud to be a part of.
We see a lot of old signs come in that have no neon on them anymore, and we'll bring them back to life. And I've done a lot of old sign restoration, and that's a lot of fun to see something that's just an old metal sign that has no life to it be brought back the way it used to be. And it's just, you know, it's good to know that I'm doing something that was a part of how this nation grew on the American roadside. I mean, neon is what made businesses grow, and it's what got people to stop traveling, you know, to have a meal or a night's sleep. You know, there's nothing, as far as I'm concerned, any more beautiful than a neon sign as far as outdoor advertising goes. So, since it's becoming more and more rare, it's meaning more and more to me that I keep this going. I don't want to see it, you know, vanish away, because I think this generation has kind of forgotten how beautiful neon can be.